I want to bring the Republican governor out of Virginia, Youngkin, who is a very, very busy man. He lives his life in a hurry. Good morning, Governor.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
I think we have to recognize two things. The competition is here, and the consensus in Washington is here, too. Republicans and Democrats participating in the hearing last night. With that being said, what should, in your view, be the relationship between Beijing and Washington?
Well, we first have to identify the fact that what Chinese government's role is to dominate the world and to do it at the expense of the United States. And we are seeing bipartisan support for that view. But unfortunately, the Democrats tend to pull up short, right? When it gets difficult, then they compromise. And we have to have unity on this point. Even Chuck Schumer said it the other day. That's big stop number one, is that this is not a friendly rivalry. This is, in fact, a race to win the future of the globe. And China's trying to do it at the expense of the United States. What that means is that we cannot be weak. And what the Biden administration has been at every step along the way with China is weak. I mean, we see the way that they handled democratic protests in Hong Kong. They crushed them. They're using every avenue possible in surveillance, between TikTok, which we banned in Virginia, and finally the federal government, after 30 states have banned TikTok, is finally waking up. I don't call that leadership. I call that following. In Virginia, we have banned bad actors from buying our farmland. And finally, we have to recognize that the most coercive step of the Chinese government is through economic imperialism. And it was a protectionist market of old, and in the last 5 years, they have fundamentally shifted, and they are projecting their communist ideology through economics around the world. And we've got to recognize this and stand up for those most trusted industries that we know are the future of the United States. Semiconductors, the supply chains around electric vehicles and batteries, our energy supply broadly, which, yes, includes traditional energy supplies. So we have to protect these industries and make sure that we have trusted supply chains that are American-owned and American-dominated, or with trusted international partners. But it's been clear, China, North Korea, Iran, Russia, these aren't trusted international partners. We have to make sure they're not part of our supply chains.
You come from the world of the private sector, and I think we can all agree, and that's what the committee is talking about, is that the government needs to do something different with China. But do you think that the business community and Wall Street is on the same page with that? Or do they also want to continue to try to do some business with China, even if there is an economic and national security conflict that's coming?
Yeah, I think this has been the footsie that the business community has played with China for so long. The reality is China has changed dramatically in the last 5 to 10 years. And what used to be a very China-focused strategy to protect their market, I mean, in 2016, General Motors is trying to sell electric vehicles in China, and they're using a Korean battery. And the Chinese government says, no, 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 you must use a Chinese manufacturer. They pushed in a company called Cattle into that. So that is wildly protectionist for Chinese economy. And now they're pushing it outside of China. And so businesses just need to wake up. This is what they're going to do. This is how they're acting. It is an imperialistic, capitalistic approach. Mm-hmm. And I think businesses need to step back and say, is this a market that I really am comfortable playing in?
We need to define that relationship.
We absolutely do.
We
absolutely do. Real quick, though, Bill. Yeah. Real quick, but which is why we have to identify these most important industries that are key to our national security that we cannot compromise on. And unfortunately, the Biden administration is willing to compromise on anything. They stand up, and as soon as it gets tough, they will step back and allow China to do what they need to do. They have got to stand up, and we need to do it now.
Let's get into politics a little bit here. You mentioned Joe Biden. The other day, he went to Virginia. You said he should go to East Palestine, Ohio. He chose Virginia and said the following about how he characterizes the Republican Party. Watch.
There's an awful lot of really good Republicans, but the MAGA Republicans are a different breed of cat. No, they're not bad or good. They're very different. There's kind of like, in my view, sort of two Republican parties.
Yeah, unfortunately,
right about that?
Unfortunately, first of all, you're from Ohio. Mm-hmm. He should go to Ohio. When there's Americans in need and they're in need of leadership, our president should show up. And what he's demonstrating is he's going to choose politics over people. He's going to come to Virginia. I understand why he wants to come to Virginia. Virginia's rocking and rolling. I mean, when I was elected in 2021 and been in office for a little over a year, we've got Virginia moving economically. We're fixing education. We're standing up for law enforcement. I know why he wants to come to Virginia, because we are rocking and rolling. But the flip side is you have to lead when you're president. And he is a follower. And unfortunately, the Ohio situation particularly screams for leadership. He has not done it. The challenge we've got is Joe Biden would rather try to divide us as a nation and try to put people in this box or that box, as opposed to right now bring us together and recognize that we have to have unity against China. That's what Chuck Schumer said. We, in fact, need unity on the border because we must fix this border. It's a national security crisis where we're seeing not only people's lives put in jeopardy, but we're seeing the free flow of fentanyl poisoning people all over America. Virginia's a border state today. Virginia's a border state. We have to be lock-armed in our economy. Right now, Joe Biden's driving inflation, and then he says he's going to raise taxes. I mean, in Virginia, we're lowering taxes because people need more access to their money at a time when the economy is so tough.
Well, with regard to the border, all he has to do is listen to the Chris Wray interview with Brett that was conducted last night. Go ahead, Dave.
Someone you know well, one of your political consultants, Jeff Rowe, was on the Sunday show this weekend with Shannon Bream talking about 2024. Here's what he said.
The reality is this is a two-person race between Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. I think it's going to be a small field because the money's not there. The debate stage rules will keep it very limited. You have to have a donor threshold. You have to have national polling. And there's simply no room for a third or fourth or even fifth person in this race.
Is that how you see it?
Well, I am not looking at 2024 right now. I'm looking at 2023. And we just got through our legislative session, and I've still got a budget to negotiate. And our priorities in Virginia, I believe, are representative of the priorities for America. We've got to get taxes down and allow people to keep more of their own money. We've got to invest in education and stand for excellence in education, not watered down priorities.
But if you were
We've
going
got to stand up for law enforcement.
But if you were going to get into the 2024 race, you can't do that at the end of 2023. That is happening now.
Well, I have said to everyone, because this question I get asked quite a bit.
Yes, you do.
First, I'm humbled by it. I mean, I was a kid 40 years ago who was washing dishes and taking out trash. And 3 years ago, I was in the business world. And so while I'm reasonably new to this, what I know is that I've got to stay focused on the job I've been hired to do. And the job I've been hired to do is to make sure that Virginia continues to drive towards that excellent position where businesses come, where parents feel confident that their children are going to receive a great education, and where our communities are safe. And these are the issues that Americans are focused about. And this is why I think Virginia gets so much attention, is because we came in at a time when Virginia had moved so far to the left, and all of these key principles were compromised. And in the little over a year that I've been governor, we've taken them all head on, and we have, in fact, delivered on what we said we were
Sounds like
do.
a campaign in the works here. Jeff Rowe, a strategist for you, came back on Monday and called you a unicorn in American politics. And then he said, with regard to the comments that he gave to Shannon on Sunday, you will make a lane for yourself. You don't need a lane created for you. Describe that lane for us today as we sit here on the 1st of March, 2023.
Yeah. So again, thank you. Those are comments that Jeff made. I had not talked to Jeff about these comments over the weekend. What I have been so focused on is delivering for Virginia. And you see, there's a reality, which is people elect you because they want to trust you to deliver. And I believe I was elected at a time when trust had been eroded in the political system in Virginia. And they wanted a governor who was going to deliver on tax cuts and standing up for law enforcement and fixing education and making government work better and delivering behavioral health outcomes that could deliver for all Virginians. And I believe that's my job. And if I deliver well on those priorities, then Virginians will be happy that they elected Glenn Youngkin as governor last year.
Do you think that Virginians are going to wish that a governor could run for re-election?
Well, part of the uniqueness of the Commonwealth of Virginia is we have one-term governor.
Get one shot.
We get one term, which means we better get going. And,
yeah, I hear you.
And I bring a real sense of urgency to the job. We work hard. Our administration works hard. I told everybody at a cabinet meeting, I know everybody's working hard, but we have a whole nother gear. We can accelerate what we're doing and deliver more and do it faster. I think this is a whole new approach to government, and we're proving that it works. I think it just takes a different mindset, and I think it takes a different kind of leader, one who understands how to not just scope out where we want to go, but to get us there.
Yeah. All right, your state constitution limits you to one term, so you're going to have some decisions to make eventually. Governor, thank you for coming
Thank you very
today,
much.
Okay,
I appreciate it.
We will stay in contact. All right?
Thank you.
Great to have you. Thank you so much.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.